Hello everybody, my name is Aftermath. Welcome to Throwback Tuesday. You know, I kinda wanted to change this format a little bit. I wanted to simply just put footage and then talk about the game rather than show my face at all times. Realize that doesn't look very well. And as a way of that, I guess that's actually pretty good. I mean, like, who wants to see my face anyway? So let's... Well, you'll not be seeing it in a minute, but let's talk about one game of my childhood, and that is going to be no other game but Sid Meier's Pirates. And that is the start screen, and, well... So Sid Meier's Pirates is a remake of Pirates, a very old 2D game from the glory days of the floppy disks. It is fairly lighthearted and aimed at younger audiences, and I got this game when I was 6. I still remember that day because it was Christmas, and boy did I love it. I still love pirate games to this day, and I don't really think of any that do the genre much justice. Except for this one, because this one might as well be the best pirate game of all time, even though it's a little bit lighthearted in theme. It's not perfect, mind you. I mean, the animations do often repeat, yes. The graphics didn't age that well, the land force-based combat is pretty basic, and the pirate sandbox is basically what matters, and damn, it's pretty nice for that, because it has all the features you want. We'll get to that in a second. Well, the game starts out simple. You're a young boy, your family got captured, you hire later on a ship, the morale is low, you boycott the captain and take over the ship, and then you become a pirate. Well, you can now hunt your family, because that's your goal, your vengeance to kill the Baron Montenegro. I think that was his name, I really can't pronounce that. The lower difficulty telegraphs very well what you're supposed to do, and it makes the game very easy for kids. But boy, the harder difficulties, holy shit. I reinstalled the game pretty much countless times ever since I got my first computer. It's pretty much on my hard drive ever since then, since I own it on GOG. And since I didn't lose my hard copy with the book from back in the days, or I mean I still have it, I just don't know where. Now the hardest difficulties though, they still kinda give me the sweats sometimes. Like, it's not impossible, but certainly wasn't easy at first. Now the handbook that was back in the cover, which I would love to show but sadly can't because I can't find it, were about 120 or 130 pages of trivia about pirates and ships from that age. That's basically what manuals used to be when, you know, half the money you paid for the game was for the manual. Not, you know, like today, where you get a one-page thing that redirects you to support.era.origin or some basic bullshit. When you start a game, you always start in front of a town of your chosen nation, so Spain, the Hollands, Spain, the Netherlands, of course, the French peoples, and of course, the English people. And then you can always talk to the governor, and he's always going to give you a letter of marquise, and that will allow you to hunt certain ships of other nations, and then once you leave the port again, you will always find one of said ships of certain nations. After that, the game is pretty much open for you. You can do many things. Of course, you could just trade, and that's a little bit boring. But you can also hunt down a total of 9 historical accurate pirates, like Henry Morgan, Blackbird, or Rock Brasiliano. You can also find their treasures. Which you should see right about now. You know, when I started the game to record some footage, I was lucky enough to get a treasure chest map very close to my start, and, well, I decided to just put it in right here. It's not that, you know, deep of a mechanic, but basically you have to look for landmarks on the map, and after you find the landmark on the sea that tells you where it somewhat is, you basically go from there and explore the surroundings a little bit, till you eventually come to the place where you find your treasure. Well, funny enough, in this gameplay I'm actually chain killing big pirates. Like, I find one, instantly spawns another one, instantly spawns another one. You should be seeing this is right about now. It's the only kind of combat footage I record, but it's pretty cool. The game is somewhat randomized, and the AI does other things all the time. You will not find the same pirate at the same location all the time. You will not find your antagonist at the same location all the time. The prizes won't be the same. Now, there are strategies and tendencies, but it's not always the same. After somewhat of your time, your crew wants their share of loot, so you can share it. Well, you use all your fleet except for your flagship, and, you know, you lose some time, and we're going to talk about that later. And you can hunt down your family, or get into the panties of some random governor's daughter and have a dance-off. No, literally, a dance-off. And get into their panties. Both of it is important. The problem with hunting down your family is that as soon as you buy the information of the information vendors, the ship of the antagonist starts moving. Well, I mean, it already is. You can, like, accidentally find it in the open world. But what I'm trying to say is, as soon as you buy the information, it doesn't upgrade. So you have to go there, and then the information salesman will be like, oh, this guy was here 205 days ago. You need to go to this port now. And then you're there, and it's like, 170 days ago, this guy was here. Buy 1,000 gold, and I tell you where the next one is. And then you have to do some wild goose chase to find your antagonist again. It's kind of weird, so don't buy those information till you are actually kinda ready to hunt for him. You can lose all your ships, and then you strand and it takes a while to get a new crew, or you can get captured by a nation that hates you, and then you go into jail and lose some time. Nothing really game overs you. There's like no game over state, however it does waste your time, by around 6 months, with some items less than 6 months. And that's a fair component. You mean, you started as an 18-year-old, and then you play the game for 7 in-game years, you're 25, and that's where you're at your peak. That means you're the fastest you can get, you're going to be the most, your skills in combat will be the best it's gonna get. And every year after that, your stats slowly decay more and more. Now, I personally have never found a hard reset where it says, yep, this is the point where you die of old age. Never found that. I went to 41 years old, and it was fairly hard to beat my enemies at that stage, because I played on high difficulty at that point. It wasn't impossible, but it was damn hard. Now the soundtrack, let's talk about that for a second. It's pretty amazing. It's repetitive, but amazing. Now, it's ambient sound more than anything. It's not full songs, it's some sailor music, some unaudible chanting, and that makes the game feel pretty nice. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Well, what can I say about it? The game itself is fairly repetitive, as in you see the same animation or hear the same sounds all the time, you always do the same things. But this core gameplay loop is actually really fun. Now, yes, repetition gets boring after a while, but again, this gameplay loop is nothing to be hating. You can do a few hundred fights before you get boring, you can capture towns, with, again, a very basic land combat mechanic, but you can do it. You can sneak into said towns and just talk to important people there, or go into the tavern and hire some crewmates. And yes, that does get repetitive. Yes, but that's a fairly odd game, and it's a sandbox game. Like, all games like this get repetitive at one point. This one just does what you do all the time very good and fairly enjoyable. Now, you can flip the towns again and again to other nations, and that way you can grind your way to rank 8 and an incredibly high bounty on all of them. And basically that is very important, because when the game ends, if you want it to end, it ends. You go, you share your loot, and then you say, I'm going to pull back from my pirate career, take what I own, and then just go. Depending on your land, money, and fame and achievements, you get a unique ending. You can collect unique treasures, personal treasures, you can find family members, beat the antagonist, and then you get the ending. You can go all the way from street-scaven poor bastard that has to kill and eat rats, all the way to governor of a large city. So that actually kind of gives you an incentive to just play the game again, and play it again, and just beat your high score, and find family members faster, so you can focus on becoming richer, and use your best years to hunt down the strongest pirates on the higher difficulties, while you use your old age on lower difficulties, where you don't keep as much of the loot, because the higher the difficulty, the more gold you keep. So you just can finish the game and finish the side objectives on a rather low difficulty. You can switch it every time you share your loot, basically. That way, it helps you to have a little bit of dynamic in the game, yeah. Sid Meier's Pirates is on Steam. It's also pretty damn cheap. I guess you can get it for less than $10, and it's damn good. You can waste a few hundred hours in this game, and if you're not sure it works in your system, because it's a pretty old game, get it on Good Old Games, GOG. Actually, kinda works on every computer, because that's what GOG does best. If you do want resources and clever tips and more info, you can go to hookedonpirates.com. A fan site for the game, it's pretty neat, and the forum is still fairly active. And for my final rating, well, I guess I'm going to give this game to a French nobleman. My name's been Aftermath, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and see you next Tuesday for THROWBACK Tuesday.